Good morning, YouTube. This is Tony Pizza. I'm with PXPsecurity.com. It's www.pxpsecurity.com. This was the episode I was telling you about that I wanted you to watch and pay attention to. This is going to be our first learning episode. And Telltail is spelled the way that I want it spelled. It's Telltail Heart. Now, some of you may not know what a telltale is. My telltale of preference was toothpicks. When you're a policeman and you have to try out businesses at night, now these are the very limited pre-alarm days. This was before alarms were became very inexpensive. They were very, very expensive, so a lot of people didn't have them. And what we did was when a business would close, especially a large business that got broken into a lot because a certain door was not right there, wasn't obvious to you, it couldn't be seen very obviously, is you took a toothpick, or I actually took a toothpick, and you put it in the door jamb. So where that door would close, you would just shove it in there and snap it off. And if someone would open that door, the toothpick would fall, you'd see it laying there on the ground, and I knew someone went in and opened the door. But this is about a different type of telltale. This is a case that occurred back in 1986. And like I said, I hide no symbolism unless that particular symbolism serves a purpose. So there's no symbolism here. This is just, I remember this case happened in around 86. So I put the date on this baggie of 10/28/1986. This, unbeknownst to me at the time, was a telltale. And we'll go over this in a second. What had occurred is I got a call to a large apartment building. And this was, again, in the North Charles General area. And it was for investigate the odor. And if anybody has any police experience or EMT experience, the minute you get that call, you know you probably have someone that's passed on. Well, that's exactly what I had. I had a DOA, a dead on arrival, and it was a gentleman, early 60s, white, approximately 5'8", about 200 pounds. The gentleman was completely naked. He was sitting on the couch. The air conditioning was off, which is the reason for the decomposing so quickly. And he had hunched over, fallen over, his body had fallen over to the side, causing blood to pool in the face. And this is what I walked into. When you handle a typical DOA, you go in, contact the coroner, which is what I did, and you check the apartment. Usually what you're looking for is weapons. You don't want to leave any weapons behind. If you want to see if you can find any drugs. None of that was there. And what I did find that just struck me as unusual was a pile of newspapers. Back then it was the News American. The Sun paper's still in business. The News American is now out of business, but it was the News American. Exactly 20 newspapers. And they were sitting on the counter. When I opened up one of the drawers, there were 20 of these. Each bag was a little bit different, but there was 20 of these bags contained within a drawer. What the bag contained was the date. This one I just dated, and I picked it at random, 10/28/1986. And a name, Billy. When I opened the bag, what I found was a very neatly folded bread wrapper. I then found a very neatly straightened out twist tie. And some of them, not all of them, contained another item, but most of them contained a chewed piece of bubble gum. So I had a bread wrapper, chewed bubble gum, and a twist tie. Also, newspapers of varying dates and time. There was nothing like you would get a newspaper that the Ravens won or President Kennedy was assassinated. That would be something you would keep. This was just random newspapers. They weren't read. They were still in the original pristine condition. I called in. Normally what you do is you run a background check. That's the first thing I did was I ran a background check to see if there were any wants or warrants that I could clear out of the caseload. What was in the card file, because we used cards back then, this was before we had the big computers, only the feds had computers, was a index card stating that if this subject is arrested, to contact this detective. Now, I'm not going to tell you the division because that's going to give this away. I want to hit you out of the blue with this. Just, this is meant to get your attention. Okay? I made the phone call and I spoke with a female detective downtown. And she said, what happened? I told him I came here, the subject was dead on arrival, that he had passed on, and that I was looking through his apartment, and when I ran the background check, you had a tag on him. And she said, yeah. She said, did you find anything out of the ordinary? And I said, well, the only thing that struck me was this bag, these bags, that were contained within a drawer containing this material, and newspapers. She said, would you please retrieve those, put them in an evidence bag, and bring them to the station? I will meet you there. Okay, seemed like a strange request, but that's fine. Bagged it, tagged it, as we say. Off to the station I went. Coroner came, retrieved the body, locked up the apartment. We were finished. Went back to the station. A very nice female detective from downtown came back, an older woman. At that time, I was 20. She was probably in her mid-40s. Came in and said, what did you find? And I said, well, I found 20 of these bags with a twist-tied, chewed bubble gum in a very neatly folded wrapper, and these newspapers, about 20 of them. And she just got this total look of, oh no, on her face. And I'm like, okay. I said, why do you even want this? She says, it's going to be evidence for my caseload, and I need to backtrack this investigation. So this was the only amusing part in this entire case. She said that, I'm trying to joke around, and I said, so what are you going after, the bubblegum bandit, the twist-tie thief? And she goes, no. She's, no, I'm going after the serial pedophile rapist. The what? Serial pedophile rapist. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one to me. She said the reason the card was in the file is he'd just been released several years back for charges of pedophilia and rape of minors. What you have here, officers, what she explained it to me, is these are telltales. As you would, you'd get a wedding album, your girlfriend presses a flower in between two pieces of paper when you go to the ball or to the high school reunion. Little mementos. That's what this is. She said the date is the date that it occurred. The name is the boy, Billy. The bread and twist tie is he made him a sandwich. And this is the bread and the tie that he used. And this is probably some gum he gave him to chew. And he kept that as remembrance along with the newspaper. You'll find out that probably that these newspapers, which they did, will match the dates on the plastic bags. Now I have to figure out who these boys are, who he molested, and if I can clear up any of these cases of others he may have shared this boy with. And that was a mind blower. Most people would see something like this, say that's odd, and totally ignore it. Be careful what you ignore. It may be very important. And I'm going to give you this disclaimer. Remember, don't take action on your own. Contact your local police department. Contact your local people. Let them handle the investigation. Just tell them what you found. Okay? Just tell them what you found. But something just so out of the ordinary. Bread wrapper, chewing gum, twist ties, and newspapers. They were mementos, trophies of boys he was able to molest and that he put away. And infuriating, I can't even use as a word because I was livid. I think I'll limit my comments to livid. Hopefully this helped. I have one more episode I'm going to make today. It's called The Pope with a question mark. That's actually going to be I think we have something here, and show you how we deal with what we call situational awareness, okay? And we also, the other name you would we call it is situational avoidance, avoiding a bad situation. How we take everything into consideration, no matter how obscure, no matter how silly, and is this a threat? Is this a possibility? And if so, how do you deal with the issues? I like the way, if you've ever heard the Chinese deal with things when they go to a meeting. They have the 1 day plan, the 1 week plan, the 1 month plan, the 6 month plan, the 1 year plan, the 5 year plan, the 10-year plan, the 20-year plan, the 50 and 100-year plan. And every time something changes, they go right down that list. Phone's ringing. I'll catch you later. I'm going to do that videos in a minute.